Over to you, Max. You've been with me on this journey. You know all 100 of those poems. You know them. You know them off by heart too. So now's your chance. You have an audience. Now's your chance to say all 100 of them.
Are you going to say your poems? Are you going to say your poems? Huh? Are you going to say them?
I'm listening. Come on. Yeah, you want to take over.
Oh, yes, what a boy. Oh, what a boy. Oh, what a boy.
No, wait.
Bada.
Shall we do it? Yeah? All right. You're getting into the zone, yeah? Getting into the zone to recite your poems, yeah? You know them. You know all 100 of these. Because you've heard me say them every day for 3 years, yeah? So you know them too. You don't know the words, but you know the rhythms of the poems. So when I start saying them, when I'm saying them, you know those rhythms, don't you? You're like, he's doing that thing again. Okay, yeah. It's that, yeah. Because you've heard some of these poems thousands of times. You're a very poetic dog. And I think it's that gives you your nobility, your presence. The fact that you know all of these poems too. Not the words, but the essence, the rhythm, the soul. The soul. The soul. You have got the soul of the poems down pat. Yeah? All right, shall we do it? I'll get some tea in my flask, and then we'll get going, yeah? Zen. Okay, so let's recite these poems. Where are you going to sit? Are you going to sit here or down there? Okay. Here we go. Number 1. Death whispers in my ear. Live now, for I am coming. I thank you, God, for most this amazing day, for the leaping greenly spirit of trees and a blue true dream of sky, and for everything which is natural, which is infinite, which is yes. I who have died am alive again today, and this is the sun's birthday. This is the birthday of life and of love and wings and of the gay, great, happening, illimitably earth. How should tasting, touching, hearing, seeing, breathing, any, lifted from the know of all nothing, human merely being, doubt unimaginable you? Now the ears of my ears awake, and now the eyes of my eyes are opened. Light the first light of morning, as in a room in which we rest, and for small reason think the world imagined is the ultimate good. This is therefore the intensest rendezvous. It is in that thought that we collect ourselves out of all the indifferences into one thing. Within a single thing, a single shawl, wrapped tightly round us since we are poor, a warmth, a light, a power, the miraculous influence. Here now, we forget each other and ourselves. We feel the obscurity of an order, a whole, a knowledge, that which arranged the rendezvous within its vital boundary in the mind. We say God and the imagination are one. How high that highest candle lights the dark. Out of this same light, out of the central mind, we make a dwelling in the morning air, in which being there together is enough. It is enough. And if sun comes, how shall we greet him? Shall we not dread him? Shall we not fear him after so lengthy a session with shade? Though we have wept for him, though we have prayed all through the night years. What if we wake when shimmering morning to hear the fierce hammering of his firm knuckles hard on the door? Shall we not shudder? Shall we not flee into the shelter, the dear thick shelter of the familiar propitious haze? Sweet is it to sleep in this coolness of snug unawareness. The dark hangs heavily over the eyes. Buddha, Buddha, bum. Today we've been given a wine so dark and so deep that to drink it would take us beyond these two worlds. Today we've been given a substance so sweet that to eat it would deliver us from self-consciousness. Today will end once more with sleep, ending thought, ending feeling, ending each and every craving. Yes. Today Majnun's love for Layla is born, and with it a mere name becomes his salvation. Each and every minute of the day we've been given at least 50 ways to just slip out the back jack. Don't think all ecstasies are the same, Max. Jesus was lost in love for his God, his donkey drunk on barley. Drink from the presence of self, not from jars or scars or quick fixes. Every vessel is a moment of delight. Be a connoisseur, taste with caution, judge wisely, choose the purest, the one unadulterated with fear or the forage and needs of the heart. Drink the wine that moves you, bless you, as a camel moves, bless you. Drink the wine that moves you, as a camel moves. Now you've put me off my stride. Drink the wine that moves you, as a camel moves when it's finally been untied from its post and gets to just amble about freely. We are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts we make the world. Speak or act with a troubled mind, and trouble will follow you as the wheel follows the ox. For we are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts we make the world. Speak or act with an untroubled mind, and serenity will follow you as your shadow unshakable. However many holy words you read, however many you speak, what good will they do you if you do not act upon them? Are you a shepherd counting another man's sheep, never knowing the way? Read as many words as you need. Write and speak even fewer. Act upon them as best you can, forsaking the old haunts of desire, displeasure, despair, and delusion. Know the truth. Find your peace. Share the way. What is the language using us for? Said Malcolm Mooney, moving away slowly over the white language. Where am I going? Said Malcolm Mooney. Certain experiences seem to not want to go into language, maybe because of shame or the reader's shame. Let us observe Malcolm Mooney. Let us get through the suburbs and drive out further, just for fun, to see what he will do. Reader, it does not matter. He is only going to be myself, and for you, slightly you, wanting to be another. He fell, he falls, tenses are everywhere, deep down into a glass jail. I am in a telephoneless blue-green crevasse, and I can't get out. I pay well for my messages being hoisted up when you're about. I suppose you open them under the light of midnight of the dancing men. The point is, would you ever want to be here, down on the freezing line, reading the words that steam out against the ice? Slowly over the white language comes Malcolm Mooney, the saviour. My left leg has no feeling. What is the language using us for? Is the idea to make a labyrinth of the mind bigger? What's the matter? You still come out of the womb dark into the sneering court of the sun and don't know which turn to take. So what? You, my friend, are made of twigs anyway. Yeah, me too. You were on an errand, Max, but never came back. Spent too long poking something with a stick. Was it dead or never alive? Invisibility will slow down soon enough for you to catch up and pull it over yourself. No one knows what colour the first hyena's tongue to reach you will be, or the vultures who are slow, careful unspellers. So go ahead. Become an expert in sleep or not. Either way, you can live in a rose or smoke only so long. You will still be left off the list, Max. And Steve. You will still be Rain. Blurry as a mouse. Tell me what I am, for I cannot fathom at a glance. Oh, what's this doing? Your Apple ID of being blah blah blah. What's that? Sorry. Interesting. Tell me what I am, for I cannot fathom at a glance. Why this creature longs for sunsets it has not yet seen, or refuses the notion of home only to set out in search of it. I wear skin the way the land bears its own light. I cry rain, speak thunder, burn at the core of this being human. I am Tellurian, tethered forever to the sublunary sphere. Is that why I'm unable to forget you, you whose words stain the skies at dusk? A flock of swallows mapping their sorrows with each wing beat. O canvas earth, we were never born artist enough for you. You speak to us in prophecies now. Your veins are molten lava, torrential rain, hurricanes, glaciers, drowning in the currents of our undoing. What do we landlocked souls know about the ocean? We have a world of ice frozen within us, and the waters are rising. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness, a momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Well, come and entertain them all. Even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honourably. They may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meet them at the door with kindness and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. L'chaim. Not I, but the wind that blows through me. A fine wind is blowing the new direction of time. If only I let it bear me, carry me, if only it carry me, if only I am sensitive, subtle, Not I, but the wind that blows through me. A fine wind is blowing the new direction of time. If only I let it bear me, carry me, if only it carry me, if only I am sensitive, subtle, oh delicate, a winged gift, if only most lovely of all I yield myself and am borrowed by the fine, fine wind that takes its course through the chaos of the world like a fine and exquisite chisel, a wedge blade inserted. If only I am keen and hard, like the sheer tip of a wedge, driven by invisible blows, the rock will split, we shall come at the wonder, we shall find the Hesperides. Oh, for the wonder that bubbles into my soul. I would be a good fountain, a good wellhead, would blur no whisper, spoil no expression. What is the knocking? No, it's not Amazon. What is the knocking? What is the knocking at the door in the night? It is somebody wants to do us harm. No. It is the three strange angels, Max. Admit them. Admit them. I've said that poem thousands of times, and understandably, when I record it, I'm going to fluff it, duff it, muff it up. The prophets are alive, but unrecognizable to us as calligraphy to a mouse. For a time they dragged long oar strokes across the sky. Now they sit in graveyards drinking coffee, forking soapy cottage cheese into their mouths. My hungry is different than their hungry. I envy their discipline, but not enough to do anything about it. I blame my culture, I blame everyone but myself. Intent arrives like a call to prayer and is as easy to dismiss. Rumi said the two most important things in life were beauty and bewilderment. This is likely a mistranslation. After 30 years in America, my father now dreams in English. Says he misses the dead relatives he used to be able to visit in sleep. How many times are you allowed to lose the same beloveds before you stop believing they're gone? Some migrant birds build their nests over rivers to push them into the water when they leave. This seems almost warm, a good harm. The addictions that were killing me fastest were the ones I loved best. Turning the chisel toward myself, I found my body was still the size of my body, still unarmored as wet bread. One way to live a life is to spend each moment asking forgiveness for the last. It seems to me the significance of remorse would deflate with each performance. Better to sink a little into the earth and quietly watch life unfold, right? Violent is boring. The carpenter's house will always be the last to be built. Sometimes a mind is ready to leave the world before its body. Sometimes paradise happens too early and leaves us shuddering in its wake. I am glad I still exist, glad for cats and dogs and moss and Turkish indigo, and yet to be light upon the earth, to be steel bent around an endless black, to once again be God's own tuning fork, like you. And yet, his vision from the constantly passing bars has grown so weary that it cannot hold anything else. It seems to him there are 1,000 bars and behind the bars no world. As he paces in cramped circles over and over, the movement of his powerful soft strides is like a ritual dance around a center in which a mighty will stands paralyzed. Only at times the curtain of the pupils lifts quietly, an image enters in, rushes down through the tensed, arrested muscles, plunges into the heart, and is gone. Life, friends, is boring. We must not say so. After all, the sky flashes, the great sea yearns, we ourselves flash and yearn. And moreover, my mother told me as a boy repeatedly, ever to confess you're bored means you have no inner resources. I conclude now I have no inner resources because I am heavy bored. Literature bores me, especially great literature. Henry bores me with his plights and gripes, as bad as Achilles, who loves people and valiant art, which bore me. And the tranquil hills in gin look like a drag. And even a dog, yes, you, even a dog has taken itself and its tail considerably away into the mountains or sea or sky, leaving behind me, Wag. Hours pass where I forget the mystery. Problems insoluble and problems offering their own ignored solutions jostle for my attention. They crowd its antechamber along with a host of diversions, my courtiers wearing their coloured clothes, caps and bells. And then once more the quiet mystery is present to me. The throng's clamour recedes. The mystery that there is anything at all, let alone cosmos, joy, memory, everything rather than void, and that moment by moment it continues to be sustained. Gigong. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. It is a kind of love, is it not? How the cup holds the tea, how the chair stands sturdy and foursquare, how the floor receives the bottoms of shoes or toes, how soles of feet know where they're supposed to be. I've been thinking about the patience of ordinary things, how clothes wait respectfully in closets and soap dries quietly in the dish, and towels drink the wet from the skin of the back, and the lovely repetition of stairs. And what is more generous than a window? Go and open the door. Maybe outside there's a tree or a wood, a garden or a magic city. Go and open the door. Maybe there's a dog rummaging. Maybe you'll see a face or an eye or a picture of a picture. Go and open the door. If there's a fog, it'll clear. Go and open the door. Even if there's only the darkness ticking, even if there's only the hollow wind, even if nothing, Nothing is there. Go and open the door. At least there'll be a draft. This poem is for that apple tree out there. These are amazing. Each joining a neighbour as though speech were a still performance. Arranging by chance to meet as far this morning from the world as agreeing with it. You and I are suddenly what the trees try to tell us we are. That their merely being there means something. That soon we may touch, love, explain. I'm glad not to have invented such comeliness we are surrounded. A silence already filled with noises, a canvas on which emerges a chorus of smiles a winter morning. Placed in a puzzling light and moving, our days put on such reticence. I can't remember the next line. Days put on such reticence. Sometimes that happens. I've said this poem thousands of times. I cannot remember the next line. Days put on such reticence, this doesn't seem their own defence. These are amazing. Each joining a neighbour as though speech were still performance. Arranging by chance to meet as far this morning from the world as agreeing with it. You and I are suddenly what the trees try to tell us we are. That their merely being there means something. Your tail is knocking the piece of paper. That their merely being there means something. That soon we may touch, love, explain. And glad not to have invented such comeliness we are surrounded. A silence already filled with noises. Come here. A canvas on which emerges a chorus of smiles a winter morning. Placed in a puzzling light and moving, our days put on such reticence, these accents in their own defence. There we go. Dear pursuing presence, dear body, you brought me. Curled in womb and memory, gave me fingers to clutch at grace and malice and ruffle someone else's hair, to fold a man's shadow back on his world, to hold in the dark of the eye through a winter and a fear the poise, the shape of a breast, a pear's silence and the calyx and noise of a childish fist. You brought me, do not leave me behind when you leave all else, my garrulous face, my unkissed alien mind, when you muffle and put away my pulse to rise in the sap of trees. Let me go with you and feel the weight of honey hives in my branching and the burlap weave of weaver birds in my hair. When I was about to die, my body lit up, like when I leave my house without my wallet. What am I missing, I asked, patting my chest pocket. And I am missing everything living that won't come with me into the sunny afternoon. My body lights up for life, like all the wishes being granted in a fountain at the same instant, all the coins burning the fountain dry. And I give my breath to a small bird-shaped pipe. In the distance, behind several voices haggling, I hear a sound like heads clicking together, like a game of pool, played with people by machines. When I have fears that I may cease to be, before my pen has gleaned my teeming brain, before high pilot books in charactery hold like rich garners the full ripened grain, when I behold upon the night's starred face huge cloudy symbols of a high romance, and think that I may never live to trace their shadows with the magic hand of chance. And when I feel, fair creature of an hour, that I shall never look upon thee more, yes, you. When I feel, fair creature of an hour, that I shall never look upon thee more, never have relish in the fairy power of unreflecting love, then on the shore of the wide world I stand alone and think, come here, to love and fame, to nothingness to sink. Max, those who will not slip beneath the still surface on the well of grief, turning down through its black water to the place we cannot breathe, will never know the source from which we drink, the secret water cold and clear, nor find in the darkness glimmering the small round coins thrown by those who wish for something else, who wished, past tense, for something else. Okay. Death is hard to face. Birth to in-between decomposition, lousy to say the least. Ill health, anxiety and frustration all suck, as does despair, disappointment, humiliation. Each and every hard-to-face moment is by definition difficult, including this one, where something pleasant is coming to an end, and that one where the unpleasant is starting up again. Not getting what we want or need or had or hope to have or hold on to and keep is hard to face. In fact, mind glitch. In fact, whichever way we get to inhabit this being human takes us closer to the truth. Our bodies, sensations, feelings, thoughts, moods, beliefs are doors through which we cannot help but pass, leading to rooms where once again we find ourselves bearing all of this with a sometimes heavy heart. Whatever it is we feel right now that feels so very hard. All is ardour, burning and blaze. Eyes ardour, ears ardour, nose, lips, tongue ardour, mind ardour, burning. Mind ardour. All is ardour, burning and blaze. Ear is ardour. Bleh. All is ardour, burning and blaze. Eyes ardour, ear is ardour. Okay. All is ardour, burning and blaze. Eyes ardour, ear is ardour, nose, lips, tongue ardour, mind ardour, body ardour, burning, burning, burning away. Sound burning, scent burning, taste burning, touch burning, incandescent bonfires burning, burning pleasure, burning pain, either neither burning away. Feel the fire that burns through this hour. Passion fire, aversion fire, delusion fire, all ablaze. Birth and death and aging fires burning, burning, burning away. Contact, feeling, craving takes us, calls to the awakened soul. Know then free yourself from ardour. Find some peace while burning away. Go deeper than love, for the soul has greater depths. Love is like the grass, but the heart is deep wild rock, molten yet dense and permanent. Go down to your deep old heart and lose sight of yourself, and lose sight of me, Gesundheit, and lose sight of me, the one whom you turbulently loved. Let us lose sight of ourselves and break the mirrors, for the fierce curve of our lives is moving again to the depths, out of sight in the deep living heart. The art of losing isn't hard to master. So many things seem filled with the intent to be lost that their loss is no disaster. Lose something every day except the fluster of lost door keys, the hour badly spent. The art of losing isn't hard to master. Now practice losing farther. Then practice losing farther, losing faster. Places and names and where it was you meant to travel. None of these will bring disaster. I lost my mother's watch. And look, my last or next to last of 3 beloved houses went. The art of losing isn't hard to master. I lost 2 cities, lovely ones, and vaster, some realms I own, 2 rivers, a continent. I missed them, but it wasn't a disaster. Even losing you, the joking voice, a gesture I love, I shan't have lied, it's evident. The art of losing is not too hard to master. Though it may look like, say it, like a disaster. A man said to the universe, "Sir, I exist." However, replied the universe, the fact has not created in me a sense of obligation. Once there was a man so sensitive, so wise, in all drink he detected the bitter, in all touch he found the sting. At last he cried thus, "There is nothing, nothing save opinion, and opinion be damned." Did I say that right? Once there was a man so sensitive, so wise, in all drink he detected the bitter, in all touch he found the sting. At last he cried thus, "There is nothing, nothing, save opinion." There is nothing. Nothing in life save opinion, and opinion be damned. I saw a man pursuing the horizon. Round and round they sped. I was disturbed at this. I accosted the man. "It is futile," I said. "You can never—" "You lie," he cried, and ran on. Change is the new improved word for God, lovely enough to raise a song or implicate a sea of wrongs, mighty enough, like other gods, to shelter, bring together and estrange us. Please God, we seem to say, change us. One day will be tomorrow, the day of truce and socket and beaten, the day you shrink into stopping, the day threadbare and pain-shamed and limit. Until then you might be continuing, because that is what you do until the last moment when you must stop. Still, everywhere the shiver is slow on the tongue, insistent. You will stop for some weeks, your body taking body from your blood in the back of the throat, And those weeks will be, thank you God, acres of erasure and resurrection and the clabber of other small prayers you stoop to collect. You will be diligent because you have paid good money to be taught how to stop, slanting off from queasy transgressions, those clutches and saws. Even so, we shouldn't fool ourselves. Resolve cannot liquefy need. You will probably start again soon after you've completed the stopping. The unwashed swell of rapture taking your face through teeth to heartbeat, every beat of moment on the couch, every relief have hereafter and clamour have nothing worse. You'll follow the mumble through the ache that is tincture is rule and bundle is famished inside you and thrumming. You understand there are two types, and you are the type. You are the type to release. If you had to choose between settle and sushi, you know what you're after. You pour yourself, hitches and battery, pour yourself each subsequent time. Stopping is not counter or suspect, but easing back is all that is left. The impulse has got you. It's all that survives. In the desert I saw a creature, naked, bestial, who, squatting upon the ground, held his heart in his hands and ate of it. I said, is it good, friend? It is bitter. Bitter, he answered, but I like it. Because it is bitter. And because it is my heart. I walked in a desert and I cried, ah, God, take me from this place. A voice said, it is no desert. It is no desert. I cried, well, but the sand, the heat, the vacant horizon. A voice said, it is no desert. If I should cast off this tattered coat and go free into the mighty sky, if I should find nothing there but a vast blue echoless ignorant, what then? If the water were clear enough, if the water was still, but the water is not clear, the water is not still, you would see yourself, slipped out of your skin, nosing upstream, slapping, thrashing, tumbling over the rocks till you paint them with your belly's blood. Thinned ego, yard of muscle that coils, uncoils. If the knowledge were given you, but it is not given, for the membrane is clouded with self-deception and the iridescent image swims through a mirror that flows, you would surprise yourself in that other flesh, heavy with milt, bruised, battering toward the dam that lips the orgiastic pool. Come, bathe in these waters, increase and die. If the power granted you to break out of your cells, but the imagination fails and the doors of the senses close and the child within, you would dare to be changed, as you are changing now, into the shape you dread, beyond the merely human. A dry fire eats you, fat drips from your bones, the flutes of your gills discolor, you've become a ship for parasites. The great clock of your life is slowing down and the small clocks run wild. For this you were born. You have cried to the wind and heard the wind's reply, I did not choose the way chose me. You have tasted the fire on your tongue till it is swollen black with prophetic joy. Burn with me. The only music is time, the only dance is love. If the heart were pure enough, but it is not pure, you would know that nothing compels you anymore, nothing at all abides but nostalgia and desire, the two-way ladder between heaven and hell. On the threshold of the last mystery, at the brute absolute hour, you have looked into the eyes of your creature self, which are glazed with madness, and you say, he is not broken but endures. Limber and firm in the state of his shining, forever inheriting his souled kingdom from which he is banished forever. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the sun. A time to be born, and a time to die, a time to plant, and a time to pluck, a time to hurt, and a time to heal, a time to break down, and a time to build up, a time to weep, and a time to laugh, a time to mourn, and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones, and a time to gather them together, a time to embrace, and a time to hold back, a time to gain, and a time to lose, a time to save, and a time to use, a time to rend, and a time to sow. A time to keep silent and a time to speak. A time of love and a time of hate. A time of war and a time of peace. After the leaves have fallen, we return to a plain sense of things. It is as if we had come to an end of the imagination, inanimate in an inert savoir. It is difficult even to choose the adjective for this blank cold, this sadness without cause. The great structure has become a minor house note, turban walks across the lesson floors. The greenhouse never so badly needed paint. The chimney is 50 years old and slants to one side. A fantastic effort has failed, a repetition in the repetitiousness of men and flies. Yet the absence of the imagination had itself to be imagined. The great pond, the plain sense of it, without reflections, leaves, mud, water like dirty glass, expressing silence of a sort, silence of a rat come out to sea, the great pond and its waste of the lilies. All this had to be imagined as an inevitable knowledge, required as necessity requires. Alone with our madness and favourite flower, we see that there really is nothing left to write about, or rather it is necessary to write about the same old things in the same way, repeating the same things over and over and over and over and over and over, for love to continue and be gradually different. Beehives and ants have to be re-examined eternally, and the colour of the day put in hundreds of times and varied from summer to winter, for it to get slowed down to the pace of an authentic saraband and huddle there alive and resting. Only then can the chronic inattention of our lives drape itself around us conciliatory, and with one eye on those long tan plush shadows that speak so deeply into the unprepared knowledge of us, of ourselves, of our days, of ourselves, the talking engines of our days. My own heart let me more have pity on. Let me live to my sad self hereafter kind, charitable, not live this tormented mind with this tormented mind tormenting yet. I cast for comfort I can no more get by groping round my comfortless than blind eyes in their darkened day, or thirst confined, thirst all in all a world of wet. Soul self, come poor Jack self, I do advise you, jaded, let be. Call off thoughts a while elsewhere, leave comfort root room, let joy sighs at God knows when to God knows what. Whose smiles not rung, see you, unforeseen times rather, as skies between pine mountains lights a lovely mile. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about your despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. The sun and the clear pebbles of rain are moving across the landscape, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things. I always say this one for him. Thing of dirt and water and oxygen, marked by thinking and reacting, and a couch one may or may not be permitted to sleep on. He's always allowed to sleep on it. And a couch one may or may not be permitted to sleep on. I'm going to have to start this again. Thing of dirt and water and oxygen, marked by thinking and reacting, and a couch one may or may not be permitted to sleep on. He may not permit me to touch him. He may not permit me to touch him or to take the bone from his mouth, but he does. And that's a choice based on many factors, not the least of which is his own desire to let me do these things. How I could ever think or feel myself more deserving of a single thing than this being whom I call by a name. The same way my parents chose a name for me, the same way my genes went expressing themselves to make my face exactly my face. This isn't special, or this is special, but it's one answer. The same for us both. What is the language using us for? It uses us all, and in its dark of dark actions, selections differ. I am not making a fool of myself for you, What I'm making is a place for language in my life, which I want to be a real place, seeing as I have to put up with it anyhow. What are communications, mistakes in the magic medium doing to us? It matters only insofar as we want to be telling each other alive about each other alive. I want to be able to speak and sing and make my soul occur and be respected for that, and even be understood by the ones I like who are dead. I would like to speak with all my ears alive and find out what it is I want. And it was at that age that poetry arrived in search of me. This is true, by the way. It was at that age that poetry arrived in search of me. I don't know where it came from winter or river, I don't know how or when. No, there were not voices, there were no words, no silence, but from a street I was summoned, abruptly from the others among... I've forgotten this part. From a street I was summoned, abruptly from the others. Oh, where is it gone? And it was at that age that poetry arrived in search of me. I don't know where it came from winter or river, I don't know how or when. No, there were no voices, there were no words nor silence, but from a street I was summoned, abruptly from the others, among violent fires or returning alone. There it was, without a face, and it touched me. I did not know what to say, my mouth had no way with names, my eyes were blind, but something kicked in my soul, a fever or forgotten wings. And I made my own way deciphering that fire. And I learnt the first faint lines, faint, without substance, pure nonsense, pure wisdom of someone who knows nothing. And suddenly I saw the heavens unfasten and open, planets, palpitating plantations, shadow perforated, riddled with arrows, fire and flowers, the winding night, the universe, and me, minuscule being, drunk with the great starry void. Likeness, image of mystery, felt myself a pure part of the abyss. I wheeled with the stars. My heart broke loose on the wind. The first cell felt no cord to divide, fed on abundant salts and sun, still thin and simply spread, rocking on water, clinging to stone, a film of obliging strength. Its endoplasmic reticulum was a thing of incomparable curvaceous length. Its nucleus, Golgi apparatus, RNA magnificent, with no incidents of loneliness, inner conflict or deceit, no predator or prey. It had little else to do but thrive, draw back from any sharp heat or bitterness, and change its pastel colours into a kind of song. We are descendants, you and me, of the second cell. What if you slept? And what if in your sleep you dreamed? And what if in your dream you went to heaven and there plucked a strange and beautiful flower? And what if when you awoke you had that flower in your hand? Or maybe held that flower in your hand? What then? I wait each night for a self. I say the mist, I say the strange tumble of leaves, I say a motor in the distance, but I mean a self and a self and a self. A small cold wind coils and uncoils in the corner of every room, a vagrant. In the dream I gather my life in bundles and stand at the edge of a field of snow. It is a field I know but have never seen. It is nowhere and always new. What about the lives I might have lived as who and who will be accountable for this regret I see no way to avoid? A core or a husk I need to learn not how to speak but from where? A core or a husk I need to learn not how to speak but from where? Do you understand? I say name but I mean a conduit from me to me. I mean a net. I mean an awning of stars. There's a thread you follow. It goes among things that change, but it doesn't change. People wonder about what you are pursuing. You have to explain about the thread, as I'm doing now. But it is hard for others to see. While you hold it, you can't get lost. Tragedies happen, people get hurt or die, and you suffer and get old. Nothing you do can stop time unfolding. You don't ever let go of the thread. What is the language using us for? I don't know. Have the words ever made anything of you near a kind of truth you thought you were? Me neither. The words like albatrosses are only a doubtful touch towards you going and me lifting my hand to speak, to illustrate and observe catastrophe. What is the weather using us for where we are ready with all our language lines aboard? The beginning wind slaps the canvas. Are you ready? Are you ready? Before you know what kindness really is, you must lose things. Feel the future dissolve in a moment like salt in a weakened broth. What you held in your hand, what you counted and carefully saved, all this must go. What you counted and carefully saved, all this must go, so you know how desolate the landscape can be between the regions of kindness. How you ride and ride, thinking the bus will never stop. The passengers eating maize and chicken will stare out the window forever. Before you learn the tender gravity of kindness, you must travel where the Indian in a white poncho lies dead by the side of the road. You must see how this could be you, how he too was someone who journeyed through the night, with plans and a simple breath that kept him alive. Before you know kindness is the deepest thing inside, you must know sorrow is the other deepest thing. You must wake up with sorrow. You must speak to it till your voice catches the thread of all sorrows and you see the size of the cloth. Then it is only kindness that makes sense anymore, only kindness that ties your shoes and sends you out into the day to mail letters and purchase bread, only kindness that raises its head from the crowd of the world to say, it is I, to say, it is I you have been looking for, and then goes with you everywhere like a shadow or a friend. Ariel was glad he had written his poems. They were of a remembered time or of something seen that he liked. Other makings of the sun were waste and welter, and the ripe shrub writhed. His self and the sun were one, and his poems, although makings of his self, were no less makings of the sun. It was not important that they survive. What mattered was that they should bear some lineament or character, some affluence, if only half perceived, in the poverty of their words, of the planet of which they were part. That felt too short, that poem, but presumably that's what it was. I hope that this should be 50. I'm going to have another cup of tea. Thermos. Light and compact. Midnight blue. It's a good one. Sorry, I'm having a bit of a flask moment. I'm kind of like in love with flasks at the moment. Hopefully the numbers are adding up. I hope that was 50, because I haven't really been counting. I mean, I've got my list in front of me. The order that I say them in the same order every time. But anyway, I hope that was 50. If it wasn't, I guess I missed one out. So here's 51. I do believe this poem, by the way. I believe all of these poems. I, too, dislike it. Poetry. Reading it, however, with a perfect contempt for it, perfect contempt, one discovers in it, after all, a place for the genuine. Over my head I see the bronze butterfly, asleep on the black trunk, blowing like a leaf in a green shadow. Down the ravine behind the empty house, the cowbells follow one another into the distances of the afternoon. To my right, in a field of sunlight between two pines, the droppings of last year's horses blaze up into golden stones. I lean back as the evening darkens and comes on. A chicken hawk floats over looking for home. I have wasted my life. It seems we have said too little about the heart per se, how it sits in its chambered nub of grease and echo, waiting for movement in the father's reed beds. Any feathered thing will do, love being interspecific here more often than we imagine. If anything, I'd liken us to certain warblers, less appealing in the wild than how we'd look in coloured lithographs. Yet now and then I'm on the point of hearing bitterns at the far edge of the lake that cry across the marshes like the doom you only get in books, where people die so readily for love. Each heart becomes a species in itself, the sound it makes distinctive. One more descant in the dark before it disappears into the marshes. You who never arrived in my arms, beloved, who were lost from the start. I don't even know what songs would please you. I've given up trying to recognize you in the surging wave of the next moment. All the immense images in me, the far-off, deeply felt landscape, cities, towers and bridges, and unsuspected turns in the path, and those powerful lands that were once, something. You who never arrived in my arms, beloved, who were lost from the start. I don't even know what songs would please you. I've given up trying to recognize you in the surging wave of the next moment. All the immense images in me, the far-off, deeply felt landscape, cities, towers and bridges, and unsuspected turns in the path, and those powerful lands that were once pulsing with the life of the gods, all rise within me to mean you, who forever elude me. You, beloved, who are all the gardens I've ever gazed at longing. An open window in a country house, and you almost stepped out pensive to meet me. Streets that I chanced upon, you had just walked down them and vanished. And sometimes in a shop, the mirrors were still dizzy with your presence, and startled gave back my too sudden image. Who knows? Perhaps the same bird echoed through both of us yesterday, separate in the evening. Admit something. Everyone you see, you say to them, love me. Of course you do not say this out loud, otherwise someone would call the cops. Still though, think about this great pull in us to connect. Why not become the one who lives with a full moon in each eye, that he's always saying with that sweet moon language what every other eye in this world is dying to hear? Please love me, and I will play for you this poem upon the guitar I myself made out of cardboard and black threads when I was 10 years old. Love me, or else. You do your thing and I do my thing. You are not in this world to live up to my expectations, and nor am I. You are you and I am I. And if by chance we find each other, it's beautiful. If not, it can't be helped. The time will come when with elation you will greet yourself arriving at your own door in your own mirror, and each will smile at the other's welcome and say, sit here, eat. You will love again the stranger who was yourself. Give wine, give bread, give back your heart to itself, to the stranger who loved you all your life, whom you ignored for another, who knows you by heart. Take down the love letters from the bookshelf, the photographs, the desperate notes. Peel your own image from the mirror. Sit, feast on your life. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life or my loved ones' lives may be, I go and lie down where the woodrake rests in his beauty in the water, and on the water and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time I rest in the grace of the world and am free. We were riding through frozen fields in a wagon at dawn. A red wing rose in the darkness. Suddenly a hare ran across the road. One of us pointed to it with his hand. That was long ago. Today neither of them is alive, not the hare nor the man who made the gesture. Oh, my love, where are they? Where are they going? The flash of a hand, streak of movement, rustle of pebbles. I asked not out of sorrow, but in wonder. What does it matter? A dream of love or a dream of lies, we're all gonna be in the same place when we die. Your spirit don't live knowing your face or your name. The wind through our bones is all that remains. And we're all gonna be, yeah, yeah, all gonna be, yeah, yeah. All gonna be, yeah, yeah. I said we're all gonna be just a dirt in the ground, tuneless singing. The quill from a buzzard, the blood writes the word. I wanna know if I'm a sky or a bird. 'Cause hell's boiling over and heaven is full. We're chained to the world and we've all got to pull. Because we're all gonna be, yeah, yeah, yes, we're all gonna be, yeah, yeah, yes, we're all gonna be, yeah, yeah. I said we're all gonna be just a dirt in the ground. Well, Cain slew Abel, killed him with a stone. The sky cracked open and the thunder groaned. Along this river of flesh can these dry bones live? Take a king or a beggar and the answer they'll give is that we're all gonna be, yeah, yeah, yes, we're all gonna be, yeah, yeah. I said we're all gonna be, yeah, yeah. I said we're all gonna be just a dirt in the ground. God, that was an awful rendition. But it is a song, so I have to sing it. Sorry. One day you finally knew what you had to do and began. Though the voices around and inside you kept shouting their bad advice. Though the whole house began to tremble and you felt the old tug at your ankles. Mend my life, each voice cried. But you didn't stop. You knew what you had to do. Though the wind pried with its stiff fingers at the very foundations. Though their melancholy was terrible. It was already late enough and a wild night, and the road full of fallen branches and stones. But little by little, as you left their voices behind, the stars began to burn through a sheet of clouds. And there was a new voice, which you slowly recognized as your own, that kept you company as you strode deeper and deeper into the world, determined to do the only thing you could do, determined to save the only life you could save. When death comes like the hungry bear in autumn, when death comes and takes all the bright coins from his purse to buy me and snaps the purse shut, when death comes like the measles pox, when death comes like an iceberg between the shoulder blades, I want to step through that door full of curiosity, wondering what it's going to be like, that cottage of darkness. And therefore I look upon everything as a brotherhood and a sisterhood. And I look upon time as no more than an idea. And I consider eternity as another possibility. And I think of each life as a flower, as common as a field daisy and as singular, and each name a comfortable music in the mouth, tending as all music does towards silence. And each body a line of courage and something precious to the earth. When it's over, I want to say, all my life I was a bride married to amazement. I was the bridegroom taking the world into my arms. When it's over, I don't want to wonder if I've made of my life something particular or real. I don't want to find myself sighing or frightened or full of argument. I don't want to end up simply having visited this world. We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of our exploring will, and the end of all our exploring will to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time. Through the unknown, unremembered gate, when the last of the earth left to discover is that which was the beginning, at the source of the longest river, the voice of the hidden waterfall, and the children in the apple tree, not known because not looked for, but heard, half heard in the stillness between two waves of the sea, quick now, here now, always, a condition of complete simplicity. And all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well, when the tongues of flame are enfolded into the crown knot of fire, and the fire and the rose are one. We are surrounded by the absurd excess of the universe. It's absurd. It is absurd, right? About the Big Bang, it's like little nothing, and then we're surrounded by the absurd excess of the universe, by meaningless bulk, vastness without size, power without consequence, the stubborn iteration that is present without being felt, nothing the spirit can marry, merely phenomenon in its physics, an endless of going on, no habitat where the brain can recognize itself, no pertinence for the heart, helpless duplication, the horror of none of it being alive, no red squirrels, no flowers, not even weed, nothing that knows what season it is, the stars uninflected by awareness, miming without implication. We alone see the iris in front of the cabin reach its perfection and quickly perish. The lamb is born into happiness and is eaten for Easter. We are blessed with a powerful love, and it goes away. We can mourn. We live the strangeness of being momentary. And still we are exalted by being temporary. The grand Italy of meanwhile, it is the fact of being brief, of being small and slight, that is the source of our beauty. We are a singularity that makes music out of noise because we must hurry, and we make a harvest of loneliness and desiring in the blank wasteland of the cosmos. I have seen the sun break through to illuminate a small field for a while, and gone my way and forgotten it. But that was the pearl of great price, the one field that had treasure in it. I realize now that I must give all that I have to possess it. Life is not hurrying on to a receding future nor hankering after an imagined past. It is always the other way around. I always get that one mixed up. Life is not hurrying on to an imagined future nor hankering after a receding past. No, life is not hurrying on to a receding future nor hankering after a I'll need to check that one up. Life is not hankering after a receding future. Life is not hurrying on to a receding future nor hankering after an imagined past. It is the turning aside, like Moses, to the miracle of the lit bush, to a brightness that seemed as transient as your youth once, but is the eternity that awaits you. In the dream, I gave the bird freedom. In real life, I told it my dream in its cage. It sang then, notes of gold hotter than my tears, punishing itself for my dream. It is an old story. The ship that was here last night, gone this morning. Love here one moment, not here anymore. Time with a reputation for transience, as permanent as the ring and the rock on beaches that would persuade us we are the first comers. We have been here before and failed, bringing creation about our ears. Why can we not be taught there is no hill beyond this one we push our minds to the top of? Not to take off into empty space, nor to be cast back down where we began, but to hold the position assigned to us, long as time lasts, halfway up between earth and heaven. Quarterly is it, writing reproaches me. Why do you let me lie here wastefully? I am all you never had of attention and good looks. You could get them still by writing a few books. So I look at others, what they do with theirs. They certainly don't They certainly don't seem to keep it upstairs. By now they've a publisher, good friends, and a wife. Clearly writing has something to do with life. In fact, they've a lot in common if you inquire. You can't expect writing carefree with all you desire, and however you bank your scrawl, the words you save won't in the end make you any less of a slave to them. I listen to my writing singing. It's like looking down from long French windows at a provincial town. The slums, the canal, the churches ornate and mad in the evening sun. It is intensely sad. Recurrences. Coppery light hesitates again in the small-leaved Japanese plum. Summer and sunset, and the peace of the writing desk, and the habitual piece of writing. These things form an order I only belong to in the idleness of attention. Last light rims the blue mountain, and I almost glimpse what I was born to, not so much in the sunlight or the plum tree, as in the pulse that forms these lines. Home is so sad it stays as it was left, shaped to the comfort of the last to go as if to win them back. Instead, bereft of anyone to please, it withers so, having no heart to put aside the theft and turn again to what it started as, a joy shot at how things ought to be, long fallen wide. You can see how it was. Look at the pictures and the cutlery, the music and the piano stool, that vase. If there must be a God in the house, must be saying things in the rooms and on the stairs, let her move as the sunlight moves on the floor, or moonlight, silently as Aristotle. You see, I duffed up that one because I was sort of trying to think ahead, and I should just be saying it. If there must be a God in the house, let it be one who will not hear us when we speak. No. If there must be a God in the house, must be saying things in the rooms and on the stairs, let her move as the sunlight moves on the floor, or moonlight, silently as Plato's ghost or Aristotle's skeleton. Let her hang out her stars on the wall. She must dwell quietly. She must be incapable of speaking closed as those are, as light for all its motion is, as colour even the closest to us is, as shapes though they portend us are. It is the human that is the alien, the human that has no cousin in the moon. It is the human that demands its speech from other beasts, from the incommunicable mass. If there must be a God in the house, let her be one that will not hear us when we speak. A coolness, a vermilion nothingness, any stick of the mass of which we are too distantly apart. Everything except language knows the meaning of existence. Trees, planets, rivers, time know nothing else. They express it moment by moment as the universe. Even this fool of a body lives it in part and would have full dignity within it, if not for the ignorant freedom of my talking mind. Default mode network. I am the song that sings the bird. I am the leaf that grows the land. I am the tide that moves the moon. I am the stream that holds the sand. I am the cloud that drives the storm. I am the earth that lights the sun. I am the fire that strikes the stone. I am the clay that shapes the hand. I am the words that speak this man. And this is the bright home in which I live. This is where I care for another. This is where I want to love all the things it has taken me so long to learn to love. This is the temple of my adult aloneness. And I belong to this aloneness as I belong to my life. There is no house like the house of belonging. There is no house like the house of belonging. On the last day of the world, I would want to plant a tree. What for? Not for the fruit. The tree that bears the fruit is not the one that is planted. I want the tree that stands in the earth for the first time, with the sun already going down and the water touching its roots, in the earth full of the dead, with the clouds passing one by one over its leaves. Sorry, it's another song. Making your way in the world today takes everything you got. Making your way in the world today takes everything you got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? I'm really tuneless today. Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name. Ba-da-da-da. And they're always glad you came. Ba-da-da. You wanna be where you can see the people are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. And you wanna go where you can know the troubles are all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name. Da 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 da, ba-dum, da 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 da, ba-dum. And why, you ask, is the Cheers theme tune number, sorry, I'm just looking on my list, number recurrences home. Why is that the number 78? The Cheers theme tune is number 78 of the Poetry Liturgy. It's a long story. I'm not going to bore you with it. Making your way in the world today takes everything you got. I've done some good renditions of that. That was a poor rendition. Too bad. Next. What words or harder gift does the light require of me? Carving from the dark this difficult tree. What place of farther peace do I almost see, emerging from the night and heart of me? The sky whitens, goes on and on. Fields wrinkle into rows of cotton, go on and on. Night, like a fling of crows, disperses and is gone. What song, what home, what calm or one clarity can I not quite come to, never quite see? This field, this sky, this tree. Here they are, the soft eyes open. If they've lived in a wood, it is a wood. If they've lived on plains, it is grass rolling under their feet forever. Having no souls, they have come anyway, beyond their knowing. Their instincts wholly bloom and they rise, the soft eyes open. To match them the landscape flowers, outdoing, desperately outdoing, whatever is required. The deepest wood, the richest fields. For some of these, it could not be the place it is without blood. These hunt, as they have done, but with claws and teeth grown perfect, more deadly than they can believe. They stalk more silently and crouch on the limbs of trees, and their descent upon the bright backs of their prey may take years in a sovereign floating of joy. And those that are hunted know this as their life, their reward. To walk under such trees in full knowledge of what is in glory above them, and to feel no fear but acceptance, compliance, fulfilling themselves without suffering at the cycle center. They walk under the tree, they fall, they rise. They tremble, they walk under the tree, they fall, they rise. They fall, they rise. They walk again. Yeah, they walk again. Listen. With the night falling, we are saying thank you. We are stopping on the bridges to bow from the railings. We are running out of the glass rooms with our mouths full of food to look up at the sky and say thank you. We're standing by the windows. Listen, with the night falling, we are saying thank you. We're stopping on the bridges to bow from the railings. We're running out of the glass rooms with our mouth full of food to look up at the sky and say thank you. We're standing by the windows. We're standing by the water, thanking it. Standing by the windows, looking out in our directions. Back from a series of hospitals, back from a mugging. After funerals, we're saying thank you. After the news of the dead, whether or not we knew them, we're saying thank you. Wow, why am I getting stuck on this poem? Listen, with the night falling, we are saying thank you. We're stopping. I think it's because I'm tired. Listen, with the night falling, we're saying thank you. We're stopping on the bridges to bow from the railings. We're running out of the glass rooms with our mouths full of food to look up at the sky and say thank you. We're standing by the water, thanking it. Standing by windows, looking out in our directions. Back from a series of hospitals, back from a mugging. After funerals, we're saying thank you. After the news of the dead, whether or not we knew them, we are saying thank you. In doorways and in the back of cars and in elevators, remembering the wars and the police at the door and the beatings on the stairs, we're saying thank you. In the banks, we're saying thank you. In the faces of the officials and of the rich and of all who will never change, we go on saying thank you, thank you. With the animals, taking our feelings, we're saying thank you. With the words going out like cells of a brain, we're saying thank you faster and faster. With the words, wow, this song is really, this poem has deserted me this morning. Maybe some tea. Oh, let's have a look at this one. With the animals dying around us, taking our feelings, we're saying thank you. The forest falling faster than minutes of our lives, we're saying thank you. With the words going out like cells of a brain, with the cities growing over us, we're saying thank you faster and faster. With nobody listening, we are saying thank you. Thank you, we are saying and waving. Dark though it is. I look for you, my curl of sleep, my breathing wave on the night shore, my star in the fog of morning. I think you can always find me. I call to you under my breath. I whisper to you through the hours. All your names, my ear of shadow. I think you can always hear me. I wait for you, my promised day, my time again, my homecoming, my being where you wait for me. I think always of you waiting. One day I'm going to watch this video and Max is no longer going to be around. Or maybe he's going to watch the video and I'm not going to longer be around. Death whispers in my ear, live now for I'm coming. Little soul, little stray, little drifter. Oh, he's asleep. Little soul, little stray, little drifter. Now where will you stay, all pale and all alone? After the way you used to make. Little soul, little stray, little drifter. Now where will you stay, all pale and all alone? After the way you used to make such fun of things. I'm nobody. Who are you? Are you nobody too? Then there's a pair of us, don't tell, that advertise, you know. How dreary to be somebody. and nobody. How public like a frog, to tell one's name the livelong June to an admiring bog. If you are not the free person you want to be, you must find a place to tell the truth about that, to tell how things go for you. Candour is like a skein being produced inside the belly day after day. It has to get itself woven out somewhere. You could whisper down a well. You could write a letter and put it in a drawer. You could inscribe a curse on a ribbon of lead and bury it in the ground to lie unread for 1,000 years. The point is not to find a reader, the point is the telling itself. Consider a person standing alone in a room. The house is silent, she's looking down at a piece of paper, nothing else exists. All her veins go down into this paper. She takes her pen and makes in it some marks no one else will ever see. She bestows in it a kind of surplice. She tops it off with a gesture, as private and as accurate as her own name. Vow to get by, on or alone, in an early hour, the first hour, the new life. Poetry, the condition within which all rises and falls. To allow it to overcome you. Nu shulon herion hier von riches weird, meert des mechte and des modja thank. Work wool de vader swahe wondrige ways, eche drichten oen stelde. Here shop, erthen bernem, hiofen te rufa halig shipend. Da midanjerd man kennis word, eche drichten after tjoda, firm folden, fre almichtig. Last bit of singing. Well, singing, yeah. I grew up in South Africa, and if you grow up in South Africa during apartheid, you go to your little segregated school and you sing the Lord's Prayer every morning to this tune. Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive them who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen. Amen. You know how to recite poetry. It is all you need to be happy. But you will not be happy. You will be miserable thinking about all the other things you need. After years and years of misery, yeah, maybe 49 years and years of misery, one thing as a reciter of poems you can look forward to. The day you give up wanting what you haven't got to focus on the thing you have got, which is poetry. Let nothing cheat, steal or deflect you from it, not even poetry itself. Why are you sitting there? You should have fled before I finished the first sentence. This man Sisyphus, he has to push. This man Sisyphus, he has to push his dense, unthinkable rock through bogs, woods, crops glittering, optical rivers and hoof-sucked holes, as high as starlight, as low as granite, and every inch of it he feels. The vertical stress of the sky draws trees narrow, wears water round, and the lithe, cold-blooded grasses wade so down they have to hang their tips like cats' tails. And it rains, it blows, but the mad, delicate world will not let him out. And when he prays, he hears God passing with a swish at this and knock at that. There is not a soft or feeling part. The rock's heart is only another bone. Now he knows he will not get back home. His whole outlook is a black rock, like a fetus undistractedly listening to the clashing and whistling and tapping of another world. He has to endure his object. He has to outdo his patience with his perceptions. And there is neither mouth nor eye. There is not anything so close, so abstract as this rock, except innumerable other rocks that lie down under the shady trees or chafe slowly in the seas. The secret is to walk evading nothing, through rain, sleet, darkness, wind, not to abandon the spirit of repetition. There are the green and yellow trees, the dog bearer of water. There goes the thundercloud shaking its blue wolf's head. And the real effort is to stare unreconciled at how the same things are. But he is half aware he is lost, or at any rate straining, out of the earth into a lifted sphere, dust in his hair, dark blood thread from his ear, and jumps at shapes like on a country road, in heavy boots, heading uphill in silence. My life, Maharaj, is a series of events just like yours. You are disentangled and watch the passing show, while I stick to my perceptions, driven by whatever grabs me. My problems are mind-body problems, thoughts, feelings, family, friends, name, shame, security. You say, I am that, all hearts, all souls, all bodies, all minds, all life, all death, all eternity. This sometimes loosens what needs to be lost. My beliefs, my perceptions, my terrible, beautiful fantasies, all come to rest in awareness where two is less than one, where you take this flower, so singular in color. The mind asks how and why and what for. The lucky ones, the blessed ones, learn to live with and in this truth. You're having a bad day. Chased by a tiger to the edge of a cliff, you scramble over and grab hold of a vine. But now there's another one prowling below and two hungry mice heading for your lifeline. You take a deep breath, adjusting to how things are. And notice some wild strawberries growing nearby, dotted with flowers and tiny red fruit. What else can you do now but reach for a berry? What else can you do now? The days aren't discarded or collected. They are bees that burned with madness. No, you see? The days aren't discarded or collected. They are bees. The days aren't discarded or collected. They are bees that burn with sweetness or madden the sting. The struggle continues. The journeys come and go between honey and pain. No, the net of years doesn't unravel. There is no net. The days don't fall drop by drop from a river. There is no river. Sleep doesn't divide life into halves or action or silence or honor. Life is like a stone, a single motion, a lonesome bonfire reflected on the leaves. An arrow, only one, slow or swift, a metal that climbs or descends, climbs and descends, climbs or descends, burning in our bones. We, the mortals, touch this metal, the wind, the rain, the trees, plants and stone, knowing they will remain inert or burning as we go on discovering, writing things down, for it is our destiny to love and say goodbye. There's a bird crying outside, or maybe singing. Anyway, it goes on and on without stopping, so I begin to think it's my bird, my insistent I, that today is so trapped by some nameless but still unrelenting longing that I can't make. There's a bird crying outside, or maybe singing. Anyway, it goes on and on without stopping. So I begin to think it's my bird, my insistent I, that today is so trapped by some nameless but still relentless longing that I can't get any further than this one note clicking metronomically in the afternoon silence, measuring out some possible melody I can't begin to learn. I could say it's the bird of my loneliness, asking as usual for love, for more anyway than I have. I could as easily call it grief, ambition not of self that won't untangle, fear of my own heart. All I can do is listen to the way it keeps on, as if it's enough just to launch a voice against stillness, even a voice that says so little that no one is likely to answer with anything but sorrow of their own confusion. I. Isn't it the sweetest sound? The beautiful, arrogant ego refusing to disappear. I don't know what I want, only that I'm desperate for it, that I can't stop listening, that I can't stop singing, that I can't stop something. I don't know what I want, only that I'm desperate for it, that I can't stop singing, that when the bird finally quiets, I need to say it doesn't, that all afternoon I hear it and into the evening, and even now in the darkness, it goes on. Every day I want to speak with you, and every day something more important calls for my attention. The Google search, the downloads, the collapsible dog bowl I need to buy on Amazon. Even now I can hardly sit here among the notifications and updates, the garbage trucks outside screeching and banging. The mystics say you're as close as my own breath. Why do I flee from you? My days and nights pour through me like complaints and become a story I forgot to tell. Help me. Even as I recite these words, I am planning to switch again as soon as I finish the sentence. In the middle of the road there was a stone. There was a stone in the middle of the road, a stone. In the middle of the road there was a stone. Never should I forget this event in the life of my fatigued retinas. Never should I forget that in the middle of the road there was a stone. There was a stone in the middle of the road. In the middle of the road there was a stone. All our living is in waiting. In these moments we find our myriad selves, anxious, hopeful, fumbling, impatient, frustrated, drifting. All our dancing shadows are here, flitting in the half-light of unreason, crowding together in fevers of movement, never still, never one. Then a voice says, "Next," and a new dance begins. I know there is still time. Time for the hands to open, for the bones of them to be filled by those failed harvests of want, the bread imagined of the days of not having. Now that the fear has been rummaged down to its husk, and the wind blowing the flesh away translates itself into flesh, and the flesh gives itself in its reveries to the wind. I remember those summer nights when I was young and empty, when I lay through the darkness, wanting, knowing I would have nothing of anything I wanted. That total craving that hollows the heart out irreversibly. So it surprises me now to hear the steps of my life following me. So much of it gone, it returns. Everything that drove me crazy comes back, blessing the misery of each step. It took me into the world, as though a prayer had ended, and the bit of changed air between the palms goes free to become the glitter, the glimmer on some common thing that inexplicably shines. And the old voice that once made its broken off, choked parrot incoherences speaks again, this time on the palatum cordis, or is it palatum cordis? I like palatum. This time on the palatum cordis. I think it's palatum. This time on the palatum cordis. This time on the palatum cordis. This time saying there is time, still time, for one who can groan to sing, for one who can sing to be healed. You grow old, you love everybody, you forgive everyone. You say, we are all leaves, dragged along by the wind. Then comes a splendid spotted yellow one. Ah, distinction! And in that moment, you are dragged under. The sound of the sun, it makes one all right, though you hadn't thought of it. A sound like the sound of the sky on fire, like Armageddon, whistling and crackling, the explosions of sunlight booming as the huge mass of gas rages into the emptiness around it. It isn't a sound you are often aware of, though the light speeds to us in seconds, each dawn leaping easily across a chasm of space that swallows the sound of that sphere. But if you listen closely some mornings, when the sun swells over the horizon and the world is still and still asleep, you might hear it, a faint noise, so far inside your mind that it must come from somewhere, from light rushing to darkness, energy burning towards entropy, towards a peaceful solution, burning brilliantly, spontaneously, in the middle of nowhere. And you too must make a sound that is somewhat like it. Though that, of course, you have no way of knowing at all.